Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to Syriana Analysis. I'm your host, Almassian. When Ukraine appointed Sarah Ashton-Cirillo as the official spokesperson for the Ukrainian army, I made a video about her and her famous work and statements and beliefs. Although I didn't misgender her and I only expose her fascistic views as she considers all Russians, regardless of their political views, regardless of their ethnicities, regardless of their religion, regardless of anything, she just considers the Russians to be subhumans, which is the same, by the way, literature of the self-identified neo-Nazi Azov battalion. YouTube decided to demonetize that video because apparently I have probably hurt the feelings of their darling. Sarah posted yesterday on Tuesday a new video on X, Twitter, and she vowed to, quote, hunt down Russian propagandists. Sarah says, according to her statement, which nobody can misinterpret it, it's very obvious. What does it mean to hunt down? Sarah says Ukraine will assassinate Russian propagandists. So the question here is, who is a propagandist? And who defines basically who is a propagandist? And what is a propaganda? And am I a propagandist for calling for diplomacy to end the war in Ukraine? Am I a propagandist because I believe that Ukraine cannot win this war and they have to engage in diplomatic solutions and engage in diplomatic talks with the Russian side, with the, of course, the presence of NATO and other influential actors in this war? Who is a propagandist, right? They can call anyone nowadays a propagandist. What does this mean? Does it mean that anyone and everyone who criticizes Ukraine's policy in this war and their choices, they are a propagandist? And is this she's legitimizing the assassination of people around the world and not only in Russia or in Europe? This is she's opening a big Pandora box, and it could blow up in the face of Ukraine itself. And they have done multiple attempts of assassinating pundits, journalists, politicians, pundits, activists all around the world, and they call them propagandists, they call them cyber terrorists, and accordingly they try to kill them. And when some of these people who were murdered, who are on this list, they put a logo on their photo and they say liquidated, which means they are assassinated and they got murdered. This is a huge news. If there is any integrity for the mainstream media, they should now report about this case. This shouldn't be the case. We are pundits, we are journalists, and we have opinions, and I personally disagree with the approach of Ukraine in this war. This shouldn't put my life in danger for talking on social media platforms. This is her talking in the name of the Ukrainian army. And I want to give just full credit for Naomi Allen. She did a long thread about this case. I took some of her tweets and some of the articles that she used for the sake and the purpose of this video. So this is her talking yesterday about this case.
Russia hates the truth that their obsessive focus on a Ukrainian volunteer is simply allowing the light.
Let's play it again.
Russia hates the truth that their obsessive focus on a Ukrainian volunteer is simply allowing the light of the Ukrainian nation's honesty to shine bright. Russia hates the truth that their obsessive focus on a Ukrainian volunteer is simply allowing the light of the Ukrainian nation's honesty to shine brightly. Next week, the teeth of the Russian devils will gnash ever harder, and their rabid mouths will foam in uncontrollable frenzy as the world will see a favorite Kremlin propagandist pay for their crimes. And this puppet of Putin is only the first. Russia's war criminal propagandists will all be hunted down, and justice will be served as we in Ukraine are led on this mission by faith in God, liberty, and complete liberation.
I just want you guys to watch this, whatever you want to identify, he or she. I want you to focus on her face and see the evil inside her and how she's. I don't think this is an acting. I truly believe this person has lots of hatred in her and she has to seek for help. She has to go and seek for help. This woman is sick. She is a psycho. Look at her face.
Russia hates the truth that their obsessive focus on a Ukrainian volunteer is simply allowing the light of the Ukrainian nation's honesty to shine brightly. Next week, the teeth of the Russian devils will gnash ever harder, and their rabid mouths will foam in uncontrollable frenzy as the world will see a favorite Kremlin propagandist pay for their crimes. And this puppet of Putin is only the first. Russia's war criminal propagandists will all be hunted down, and justice will be served as we in Ukraine are led on this mission by faith in God, liberty, and complete liberation.
Guys, first of all, what the hell? Like, who is this person? She's an American. Why is she talking about Ukraine as if Ukraine is her own nation and she was born and raised there and her grandfathers come from Ukraine and that she has this divine duty to defend Ukraine? I totally understand the sentiments of the Ukrainians who are against Russia and they would like to defend their country from their own perspective, right? But who is this person? Who gave this person the right to speak in the name of the Ukrainians, and who give this person the right to threaten people with murder and assassination? And be careful what she said. She didn't specify nationality. She didn't say Russian propagandists. She said Putin's propagandists. So everyone and anyone who objects on the Ukrainian policy in this war, whatever that is, whether it's internal or external, they could be assassinated. And there are multiple examples for that. And I'm going to come that just later in this video. But who decides who is a propagandist, right? This is the most important question. This is from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. So it's the Center for Combating Disinformation. And they say NGOs, mass media, and international experts took part in a round table on countering disinformation. So they have had this roundtable in Ukraine, and this is what it says. NGOs, mass media, and international experts took part in a roundtable on countering disinformation. Representatives of state authorities, public organizations, mass media, and international experts took part in a roundtable on countering disinformation. During the discussion during the discussion, Andrei Shapovalov, head of the Center for Combating Disinformation of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, emphasized that persons who deliberately spread disinformation are information terrorists. Do you guys realize what does that mean, information terrorist? A terrorist is a person that you as a country and a government have the legitimate right to to kill, to assassinate, to this is why when I mentioned this list, the kill list that they have, when somebody is dead from these people, they put a stamp on the faces and they say liquidated. And it happened with multiple journalists. For example, I just want to mention you a few examples about these guys because it's this case is very important and it really bothered me. And this is from, by the way, Ukrainian website, right? And it's pro-Ukrainian website. Ukraine assassinated Russian propagandists, admits intelligence chief. The head of Ukraine's military intelligence service has admitted that his agents have assassinated Kremlin propagandists in the 15 months since Russia invaded. Quote, we have already successfully targeted quite a few people. There have been well-publicized cases everyone knows about, thanks to the media coverage. Major General Kirilo Budanov says. He's 37 years old. And three of them, some of them in St. Petersburg, some of them in Moscow, and some of them in Nizhny Novgorod. So Vladlen Tatarsky, 40 years old, a military blogger and an acolyte of the Wagner boss Prigozhin, was killed by explosive hidden in a bust of himself given to him in a St. Petersburg. This is all Ukrainian, so it's translated to English. The translation is not 100% correct, but they say he was in a cafe in St. Petersburg during a pro-war event. So they can call it anything. They can call him a propagandist. They can call anything a pro-war event, etc. So they give themselves the right to kill these people. And this is, for example, Dugina that they also killed. This is another horrendous case. But before that, there is the case of a French journalist. He was a volunteer in Ukraine, and he was like serving the Ukraine. He was serving Ukraine. He was serving alongside the Ukrainian army. Once again, the Western discourse that NATO countries are democracies and Russia is a dictatorship, shaken by factual cases of political persecution and violation of freedom of expression and press in Western countries. A former French volunteer in Ukraine who documented the crimes committed by Kiev's neo-Nazi regime on the battlefield is now requesting political asylum in Moscow. He was recently the target of an assassination attempt in a NATO country, which is why he no longer feels safe living in states that are part of the Atlantic Alliance. The Russian news agency Novotsky reported on January 11th that Adrian Bouquet, a journalist and former French soldier who also served as a volunteer in a humanitarian mission in Ukraine alongside Kiev's troops, requested political asylum from the Russian authorities. Like most Western volunteers, Bouquet was initially serving in Ukraine, deluded by the media outlet's narrative, but he was surprised to see the reality on the battlefield. He witnessed many war crimes being committed by Kiev's neo-Nazi agents, including torture and illegal executions. It is important to note that Bouquet is not an inexperienced civilian citizen, but a trained military man, and even so he claimed to be surprised by the scenes he saw in Ukraine, given the extreme cruelty with which neo-Nazi soldiers treat Russian prisoners and Donbass residents. However, the most notorious topic on which Bouquet commented was the Bucha tragedy, which, according to his information, was most likely a false flag operation organized by Ukraine to blame Russia and move world public opinion against Moscow. On the battlefield, the French volunteers saw a strange activity by Ukrainian soldiers who were transporting the bodies of people killed in other regions, taking them to Bucha for reasons that were then unknown. He also told the media that his colleagues had seen these bodies being unloaded from refrigerated trucks, which indicates that they indeed came from long distances with a concern for their conversation. Bouquet understood then that this was probably the preparation of a simulated scene of mass massacre, as the Russians have recently left the city so that putting the bodies on the ground and photographing them, it would appear to have been a crime committed by Moscow's forces. Bouquet's decision to seek asylum in Moscow is unequivocal proof that the so-called Western democracy is a lie. Freedom of expression is deeply threatened in the Atlantic Alliance's countries, with clear security risks to anyone who revealed the crimes committed by Kiev. Despite the efforts of the mainstream media to omit this at some point, this reality will become visible to everyone. And lastly, there are so many examples, but just lastly, this is from the New York Times. The United States believes Ukrainians were behind Daria Dugina's assassination. So, this is now paid article, anyways. So the New York Times says that according to their information from the U.S. intelligence apparatuses, the U.S. intelligence believes that Ukraine was behind assassinating Daria Dugina, and she was a Russian journalist, and she was the daughter of famous philosopher and professor Alexander Dugin. And the U.S. intelligence suspects that they tried to assassinate Alexander Dugin himself, but at the last moment, because they changed the cars and something happened, that she drove his car, and she was unfortunately murdered. But in any case, whether the target was Alexander Dugin or Daria Dugina herself, those are civilian targets. These people are not combatants. These people didn't participate in murdering anyone, and they are theorizing the war, and they're putting it in the context, and they're defending their point of view. Just like in Ukraine, there are many, probably tens, probably hundreds of journalists, and you can see them on X and Facebook. Some of them not even Ukrainian, and they are in Ukraine or outside. They're defending the Ukrainian point of view. So imagine there would be car bombs now in Europe or in the United States targeting activists or daughters of some journalist who is defending Ukraine. This is a big Pandora box. This ends journalism of opinion when it comes to such sensitive issues. Look, from my point of view, why do I think this is very important to speak about? Because I always try to differentiate between two things. For example, they always say, the Assad regime is not a democracy, blah, blah, blah. But the Assad regime never claimed to be a democracy. And the same thing applies to Russia. They never claimed to have a freedom of expression, freedom of press. But the ones who claim to have the freedom of press and freedom of expression, and that you're allowed to say what is on your mind, those are the ones who are now persecuting and murdering people for their opinion. Has Russia ever murdered someone because they didn't like their opinion? I'm 100% sure they have done that. But they never claimed a moral superiority or moral high ground. That's the case. So in wars, all sides commit war crimes. All sides commit war crimes, right? But there is only one side who is claiming to be this very clean and moral. They're projecting their values on the others and say, like, we believe in human rights, we believe in democracy, we believe in this and that. But they're not. They're not. That's the problem. And with this woman, Ashton, I know some of you now are going to go ballistic against me in the comments below, and they say, "He's a man. She's not a woman." Like, look, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I personally, I don't give two ifs if she's a woman or she's a man. What I truly care about is what is her opinion, what does she believe in, and what is she doing? Is she harming someone? And I saw a person, regardless of her gender, who is a psychopath, and she or he is a bloodthirsty person. And if something happens to, like, the journalist in the West now, for example, let's suppose, because she blocked me, right, on Twitter. I never engaged with her before, but let's suppose she knows me now and she's watching some of my videos. Why would she block me if she never seen some of my videos, right? Anyways, let's suppose she considers me an information terrorist, and she passes my information or my YouTube channel or my picture to some of their informants and their agents and their spies here in Germany, and somebody comes and murders me. What would happen? What would happen is that they will celebrate, and if they will fabricate lots of things about me, right? This is the real reason why I'm doing this video, because there are people now, their security is jeopardized because of this. And I'm not talking about myself now, lots of people, right? There's so many people now who have a different opinion, or they have waken up after some time to the realities of the Ukraine war. So if Ukraine is going to pass their information, because there are hundreds of names on this kill list, for example, and if this counter disinformation center, they're passing names. I mean, a person like myself, like, the face is quite detectable, right? Any Ukrainian neo-Nazi sympathizer can harm me here in Berlin. This is crazy. This is crazy. And I cannot express how much this is disgusting, that nobody in the mainstream media, nobody on the television is talking about. The spokesperson of the Ukrainian army is threatening journalists, activists with murder, and they don't speak about it. This is crazy. Anyways, thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. I really appreciate it, for tuning in on Syriana Analysis today. I've been your host, Almassian of Syriana Analysis. I wish you all safety, and I hope such crazy people do not encounter you in the street or online. And we will see you soon. Ciao.